There's a kind of pain nobody talks about. It doesn't scream, it doesn't bleed, and it never asks for help. It's the pain of being dangerously aware, of sitting in a room and catching every lie, every micro shift in tone, every tension behind the smiles, while everyone else seems content just skating across the surface. If you've ever felt the urge to say something real and watched the air freeze, if you've ever realized your honesty can make people flinch, understand this. You're not broken, you're not too much, and you're definitely not alone. What you're feeling is the invisible tax of depth in a world addicted to the shallow. But here's the truth nobody tells you. This pain is not a life sentence, it's a signal. Society punishes those who see too clearly because clarity disrupts the system. You are living proof that there's something beneath the script. And the moment you learn to harness what you've been told is a flaw, your overthinking, your sensitivity, your refusal to lie to yourself, that's the moment you stop playing their game and start rewriting your own reality. The world is built to drain and distract you. What I'm about to show you is how to turn your so-called curse into a weapon. If you can grasp this, you'll never see yourself or the world the same way again. Why does the world react like this? Why does a single honest question make the room colder than silence? Here's what nobody tells you. Most people are terrified of depth, not because it's mysterious, but because it's dangerous to the status quo. This isn't a metaphor. Every society, every institution you've ever touched, school, work, even family, survives on mass agreement. The script is simple. Keep it light, keep it moving, keep it safe. And if you refuse, if you press for the truth or expose what everyone else is trying to ignore, you become a threat. You force people to confront what they've spent their whole lives running from. The irony is brutal. The very thing you're punished for, the way you notice patterns, question motives, refuse to accept easy answers, is the same thing that, when mastered, lets you reshape your entire reality. But most people will never tell you that. They want you small, apologetic, easy to manage. They want your honesty only when it flatters, your empathy only when it doesn't disrupt. But here's the twist. Once you stop seeking their permission and start using your perception as leverage, everything changes. In a few minutes, I'll show you 3 tactics to stop letting the world drain you and start making your depth work for you, not against you. But first, you need to see the real machinery you're up against, because you can't hack a system until you see how it's built. Let's be honest. The world isn't just indifferent to depth. It's predatory. Ever notice how, once people sense you can actually see them, they start using you as a dumping ground for everything they can't face? They circle you with their unresolved problems, expecting you to play therapist, priest, or confessor. You end up carrying their baggage for them, and they call it friendship. You leave drained, they leave lighter, and no one questions the exchange because society built it that way. It's efficient. The system gets to run on shallow autopilot, and the people capable of real perception get burned out, doubting themselves, too tired to ask real questions. That's not being needed. That's exploitation. The more you notice, the more you're fed other people's noise. The price for clarity is isolation, or worse, being weaponized against yourself. Every time you tolerate it, you reinforce the script. Keep the peace, carry the pain, and never disrupt the pattern. Here's the part nobody wants to hear. As long as you play along, you're part of the mechanism that drains you. You can keep playing the martyr, or you can weaponize your awareness and make it impossible for the system to leech off you. Most never make it to that choice. But if you do, the entire dynamic flips, and the first step is brutal. Admit you've been complicit. Only then do you get your power back. Next, I'll show you exactly how to shut down this drain and convert every one of these moments into leverage. Stay sharp. Here's how you break the cycle. First rule: never offer your insight for free. The moment someone starts unloading their problems on you, don't reflexively absorb it. Interrupt the pattern. Ask one direct question. What do you actually want to do about it? Watch what happens. Most people aren't looking for answers. They're looking for a place to dump responsibility. When you refuse to play emotional landfill, you force accountability. Suddenly, the confessional closes and the real conversation starts, or ends, which is just as good. A second rule: learn to weaponize silence. You don't owe anyone an instant reaction, and you certainly don't owe them comfort at your own expense. Practice letting the silence hang. Most can't tolerate it. They'll reveal more than they intended, or they'll walk away. Either way, you're no longer the sponge. You're the mirror, reflecting exactly what's happening without apology. Third rule: set a boundary before the energy drain starts, not after. Before any meeting, call, or social interaction, tell yourself out loud what you will and will not engage with. You'd be surprised how quickly people sense it. Try it. Next time someone comes looking for your mind or your empathy, see what happens when you don't immediately offer it up. The power dynamic shifts instantly. Most won't like it. Good. The people who respect your limits are the only ones worth keeping around. The rest are just noise. You didn't come here to be background support for other people's unexamined lives. From this moment on, you set the rules, or you keep getting played by theirs. The choice is obvious. Next, let's talk about what you gain, practically and psychologically, when you finally enforce these lines. Here's what happens the moment you enforce these boundaries. Your mental bandwidth explodes. The constant static of other people's unresolved chaos, gone. Suddenly, you're not busy managing everyone else's storms. You're free to engineer your own weather. It's not about retreating from the world. It's about finally getting to build something that isn't dictated by the lowest common denominator. This isn't just theoretical. Study after study shows that people who set hard boundaries, who refuse to be emotional sponges, don't just preserve energy. They multiply it. They get sharper. They become more creative, more strategic, more resilient. Why? Because their focus is no longer hijacked. Their attention is theirs to spend. This is where your so-called overthinking finally pays out. You get to obsess over what matters to you, not what drains you. The result isn't just internal. People start to notice. You become unpredictable, harder to manipulate, more valuable, because you're no longer available on demand. Now the system will test you. People will push back, try to guilt you, accuse you of being cold or not yourself. Translation: you're finally not playing your old role in their script. That's proof you're doing it right. The discomfort isn't a sign to stop. It's a sign you're recalibrating the entire social dynamic. Most never get here. They keep trading depth for scraps of approval and call it connection. But if you stay the course, you'll see the payoff. More time, more energy, more leverage. You can finally use your mind for what it was built to do. Change things, not just survive them. Up next, how to use this freed-up power to build actual influence and find the people who thrive at your frequency, not just tolerate it. Now you're finally playing offense. Here's where the game changes. When you stop scattering your energy, you become a magnet for people and opportunities that match your depth, not your willingness to self-sacrifice. Stop chasing the approval of the masses. Instead, broadcast clarity and see who responds. The fastest way to spot your tribe? Start sharing the truth nobody else will say out loud. Real, unfiltered. Not for shock value, because it's necessary. You'll get pushback. Some will vanish. Good. Every person who leaves creates space for someone who actually sees you. Don't waste time trying to convert surface dwellers. That's just another form of martyrdom. Instead, practice what I call signal over noise. In every interaction, drop a single, undeniable truth. It doesn't have to be dramatic, just real. Notice who pauses. Notice who meets your gaze instead of looking away. Those are your people. Engage deeper with them, even if it's only a handful. The numbers don't matter, the resonance does. You'll find something else happens too. Your influence increases, not in the loud, viral sense, but in the way that actually matters. When you operate from authenticity and unapologetic clarity, people take you seriously. You become the one others turn to when reality hits, when the old scripts fail. You stop being a background character in other people's stories. You become the axis that moves your own world, and sometimes theirs. Next, I'll lay out exactly how to use this dynamic for practical leverage. Getting what you want, not by manipulation, but by refusing to dilute yourself. This isn't about isolation. It's about creating a gravitational field so strong that only those ready for real depth stick around. That's how revolutions, personal or collective, actually start. Now that you've filtered out the noise, here's how you turn depth into leverage. Most people negotiate for approval. You don't. You negotiate for outcomes. When you walk into a meeting, a conversation, even a casual exchange, lead with the inconvenient truth, the real issue, the one nobody wants to name. It's risky, but it shifts the dynamic instantly. Surface players will recoil, but the ones with substance will recognize what you're doing, and they'll engage. This is how you bypass the endless games and get to the point where things actually move. Second, stop seeking consensus. Most of the world's inertia is built on waiting for everyone to agree. Let others drag their feet. While they're still debating, act. Test your idea. Launch your project. Speak the reality everyone else is avoiding. You'll polarize, but you'll also set the pace. People respect velocity, especially when it's backed by substance, not noise. Third, use selective vulnerability as a weapon, not a liability. Share something real, but only what you choose and only with intent. This isn't about dumping your soul on the table for sympathy. It's about demonstrating that you're not afraid to go where others won't. It signals strength, not weakness. It invites depth, not pity. Every time you do this, you rewire the expectations of everyone around you. You make it clear, this isn't a safe space for self-deception. This is a laboratory for real change. It's how you stop playing defense and start engineering outcomes, whether that's in your work, your relationships, or your own mind. Up next, we'll talk about the backlash, because the system doesn't give up its illusions quietly. But once you've built this momentum, you'll see that pushback for what it is. The final proof that you're operating on a level most people aren't even aware exists. Expect friction. When you stop playing by the old rules, the world doesn't just roll over. The people who relied on your silence, your availability, your willingness to absorb what they couldn't handle, they'll notice. Suddenly you're selfish, you're changed, you're too intense. Take this as a diagnostic, not a deterrent. Their discomfort is data. It proves you've disrupted their expectations and, by extension, the architecture of the system itself. Most people, especially those built on comfort, see any deviation from the norm as a threat. So they'll try every tactic: guilt, nostalgia, even sabotage cloaked as concern. Don't get too distracted. Their pushback isn't about you. It's about their need for the old script to survive. The more intense the resistance, the more certain you can be that you've finally hit the pressure point. This is the moment where most backslide, apologizing their way back into irrelevance. Don't. Instead, leverage the backlash. Use it as proof you're no longer the default support structure for everyone else's inertia. When they accuse, don't explain. Observe. When they attack, don't defend. Redirect. You owe no one a watered-down version of yourself just to keep the peace. If peace requires your silence, it's not worth keeping. Every major breakthrough, personal, social, creative, runs on this same engine. The initial backlash is a test, not a failure. If you don't encounter resistance, you're probably still playing small. This is your signal to double down, not retreat. Next, we'll get into how to cement this new reality so it becomes effortless. And so the right people, the real ones, start showing up because you refuse to lower your frequency. This is where most people fall off. They try to hold their boundaries for a week, maybe a month, but slip back the first time things get lonely or old habits kick in. If you want this shift to last, you have to systematize it. Make your new standards non-negotiable, not just aspirational. Start with simple protocols. Before any interaction, ask yourself, does this person or situation energize me or drain me? If it drains you, you limit your exposure or you walk away. No debate, no rationalization. You enforce your line as a law, not a preference. Second, automate your environment. Fill your space, digital and physical, with cues that reinforce depth and clarity. Remove the distractions, the superficial connections, the maybe-later obligations. When your environment matches your intent, willpower isn't required. You default to the reality you've chosen, not the one handed to you. Third, document the shifts. Track the energy gains, the clarity, the new people and opportunities that start appearing. Don't trust memory. Memory will lie to keep you comfortable. Write it down, even briefly. You'll spot patterns, proof that your standards are working, that the system is bending, not you. Over time, this becomes effortless. The wrong people stop showing up because they know they can't use you. The right ones appear because you're finally visible at your actual frequency. This isn't luck. It's the result of refusing to dilute yourself. Now, instead of wasting energy on defense, you're free to go deeper, create more, influence further. In the final section, we'll lock in the payoff, how to use this position of strength to make actual change in your world, and why that's the whole point of being a deep thinker in the first place. This is where most people stop. They've carved out a small sanctuary, finally insulated from the noise. But that's just the beginning. The point of reclaiming your depth isn't self-preservation. It's to build leverage, to bend reality, your own and sometimes others. Once your bandwidth is free, you're no longer reacting. You're engineering. You start spotting openings where everyone else sees dead ends. You see patterns emerging before they become trends. You act while everyone else is still stuck on consensus. And this has consequences. Your results compound. The right allies appear. People who don't drain you, but multiply you. Your work gets sharper. Your relationships get real. Your sense of purpose stops feeling like a burden and becomes a tool. You stop apologizing for seeing too much. You start using it to shape the world around you instead of shrinking to fit it. This is the payoff of being a deep thinker in a shallow world. Not martyrdom, but power. Not isolation, but clarity. You're no longer here to survive other people's scripts. You're here to write your own. And if you're ruthless enough, to drag reality with you. So here's your move. Pick one rule for all and what you've heard today. Actually use it. Document what happens, who pushes back, who steps up, what changes. If nothing changes, you're not applying it hard enough. If everything shifts, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. The world doesn't need more surface. It needs more people willing to see, act, and refuse to apologize for either. That's your task. Don't let it slip. If this hit harder than anything you've heard all week, prove it. Apply one tactic. See what breaks. Share your results below. Don't just lurk. Disrupt. If you want more, subscribe and stay sharp. This space isn't for everyone, and that's the point. Test one rule. Notice the shift. Drop your results in the comments. Subscribe if you're done playing small. See ya.